Alright, what's going on everybody? It's April 1st, 2023, Macro Explanation Episode 1, and on this video we're going to look at the macro times that occur within the AM session. All credit goes to ICT and his links will be in the description below. So first off, we're going to look at the macro times. So what times do these typically start? So it's going to be 3 different times within the AM session. One from 9:50 to 10:10, next one's 10:50 to 11:10, and the final one is 11:50 to 12:10. And all these are 20-minute intervals from the 50s to the 10 marks, and they all act pretty much the same. And there's 2 rules that we're going to look at. So the first rule is there needs to be untapped liquidity that price needs to be drawing to, so the draw on liquidity. And the second one is a fair value gap, preferably untapped, that we're going to use as an entry point. Okay, first we're going to be looking at our long setup. So we want our untapped liquidity, which is in this case it's going to be buy side, and then we're going to look for our fair value gap in the most recent price swing. So here's your most recent price swing right here. We're going to look for our fair value gap. So we'll say there's one residing right here in the middle, so it's just the blue. So at the start of your macro time, whether that's 9:50, 10:50, or 11:50, you're going to be looking for these signatures. So at the start of the macro, you want to see a retracement into this fair value gap, and that's going to be where you're going to buy your long, or you're going to go long, and then you want to at least net 5 points, and that's going to be 50%. For my model, at least, that's where I take off 50% at 5 points. So you want this displacement to net at least 5 points, where you can take some partials off, and then the rest of your position should be weighted at least till 10:10. To reach your overall target, and that's where you can exit. And then if we look at the sell model, it should just be the complete opposite of that. Okay, so here's your sell model, same exact thing. Untapped liquidity resting below, and then we have to look for a fair value gap in the most recent price swing. So we'll scan this right at the start of the macro and find our fair value gap. And then this is where we will sell short for the short model. So we want to see some sort of retracement up into this fair value gap, and that's where you can sell short. And our target is going to be at least 5 points, where you can take some partials off. So we want to see a displacement away from this fair value gap for at least 5 points, and then by the end of the macro, we should eventually take out our sell side liquidity or whatever internal or external range target that you're going to be using. Okay, we're going to switch over to Notion just to look at some of the examples. So right here, you have 9:50 start, roughly around this low. And what does it do? So it's looking for untapped liquidity. So we already ran the buy stops. So what's next? Sell stops. So sell stops are resting right below here, as well as right below here. So 9:50, we have our untapped liquidity and then our fair value gap up here in this red. So we see 9:50 start, retraces into it. That's our short setup. And then we sell up here. And we're going to be netting at least 5 handles, which if you drag that out, that's 10 points right here by taking out this low. So that's our model setup. But then if you waited by 10:30, we take out this low as well. Next one, 9:50 starts. We already took out buy side, so we're going to be looking for sell side. Starts right here roughly. We have an untapped fair value gap in this red shaded area right here. So we see a retracement up into it. That's where you can sell short. And we have at least partials that net at least 5 points. So we have a partial right here, and then a couple more sell side liquidity pools. So you can see our entry short, and then it displaces for here and up here, which will be at least more than 5 points. Okay, here's a long setup. So we have 9:50 right here, and we already took out sell side, so buy side will be our target, this high. So we don't immediately retrace, but we do start going up towards the buy side, which is good, and we form this fair value gap, which is perfect. So into the macro, we go and tap this fair value gap, which is the unfilled fair value gap, and we're targeting up here. So we have 2 entry points before 10:10, and you can see at 10:10 it displaces at least 20 points and takes out all 3 points of the buy side that we're looking for. Right here, 9:50 to 10:10. So we're going to be looking for sell side, which is this untapped liquidity right here at 9:30. If you draw a line out, 9:50 starts. We have a 15-minute sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency up here, a SIBI fair value gap. You can't really see it because it's the 1 minute, but on the 15-minute chart there is a fair value gap up here. So at 9:50 we start, we retrace into the fair value gap, and we need at least 5 points. So if you entered here at 39.20, you need at least 39.15, which you can see it takes that out pretty nice, and then it displaces down towards this sell side. It doesn't reach the final goal, which is fine because we should have already taken partials off. There's partial at the 5 points, and then partial down here at 39.02, which is roughly 18 points, which is plenty. On to the next. Here's a perfect example. Already took out buy side. Looking for sell side down here, which is this X fair value gap that's left open on the 1 minute chart. This is YM instead of ES. So 9:50 starts. We see the fair value gap, traces into it. You can sell short at the start of the fair value gap or at the top. That's if you want less risk. Sell short. Then we want at least 5 points. You could take one off right here, and you can also take some off at the sell side liquidity pool, which we do tap past 10:10. Another example, this is the 10:50 to 11:10 macro. So we have buy side taken, which above this high is buy side right here. So now we're looking for sell side. So that's 1 right here, and there's 2 down here. 10:50 starts. We have an unfair value gap here and here. We retrace into it once. That could be our sell short. And we retrace into this top one. You could also sell short up here, and we need at least 5 points. 39.60 is our entry point. We need at least 39.55, which is right here. So you can see displaces once 5 points, displaces again roughly 20 points, and that's our partial. 10:50 to 11:10. We start displacing. So our untapped liquidity is up here. This is buy side liquidity, black line. So you can see we displace at the start of 10:50. And in that displacement leg, we do have a fair value gap right here. It's also a 2 minute fair value gap, but there's a smaller one right here. Go up, and then at 11 roughly, we'll retrace into here, into this buy side, so that into the fair value gap. That's our entry point, and displaces up until this leg, which is another 5 points. And then if you held runners, we eventually take out the buy side liquidity. This is 11:50 to 12:10 macro. You can see that buy side was already taken. We have sell side resting below here and at the 40.58 level. 11:50 starts. We have a fair value gap here that's left on this black down candle. We trace into it. That's where we sell short, and then displaces by 12:10 to the sell side liquidity pool. All right, that sums up the AM session macro video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Tomorrow, I'm going to release the PM session macro, and that's going to be a little bit more in depth and probably longer than this video. All credit goes to ICT again. These are all his concepts. I'll try and pump out these videos as much as I can, and I appreciate all the support that they've been getting recently. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.